since the conquest of the Indian territories by the Spaniards since 1519, and Hernan Cortez and the Spanish Inquisition, the conquistadors conquered the Aztecs. Okay, well, the Aztecs were a branch of Toltecs, who are Afro-Asiatic peoples, who are called the Great Peoples. They are a branch of the Olmec civilization that had been here since 1500 years before Christ. The Mississippian culture at the Missouri River and the Rio Grande Valley right here. This is what I am linked to. In the land of the Apaches. The Apaches are a branch or a tribe of people that come from the Aztecs, come from Montezuma, the holes of Montezuma. The Apaches were here in this land before any white settlers. And that's what I represent. My gang affiliation, we were originally called the Apache Vice Lords. A Vice Lord meaning next to God, being king on earth like God is in heaven. On earth as it is in heaven, the king, which was formerly the Pharaoh in Egypt. Could have been the Indian chief in all of the Indian territories in the pre-Columbian era of America, you know. That's what I'm representing here. So all of these designs, I do them. I'm an artist. In living color, straight from the street. And I got the street flavor right here. And it's about the pre-Columbian era of America with me. So we are reformed Egyptians. This is the West Indies, West Indian territories. As the culture came out of the land of Egypt, it went into India. Keep going east, you're in the west. So basically my little room was a cultural center where I had been doing historical research every day. You know, I got a lot of work to do. I was working on something. I had this design, this mechanism right here that'll let me know the number of days on the earth. It was based on the Dendara stone I studied in Egypt. It was based on also the Aztec calendar stone, which I found out was the table of the sun, from an Indian tribe of people who understood the Ethiopian language. So they were from Ethiopia. They were from the land of Egypt. They were from Upper Egypt. But they had took their culture into India, across the Arabian Gulf, into the Indian Ocean. So and this culture spread all over the world, and that's what is the pre-Columbian era of America. So I had figured it out a long time ago. I had stopped going to public school in America. When I left high school, like in the 10th grade, because I was going to be held back for transferring from school to school because of my family, my mother's affairs. And she kept moving us and having to go to somewhere else, you know. I kept getting transferred from school to school. So basically, when I was old enough, I made a decision for myself that I need just to go out in the world by myself and leave public school alone and the learning in their curriculum in the United States or in the state of Texas. When I was going to high school, I was here in Texas. So I was here in Missouri City, Houston, went to Richmond and Rosenberg. I've been all over. Missouri County, Harris County, Anahuac, Montgomery County, everywhere. We've been all over the place. Thinking here I might need to move and go somewhere else because we can't stay here anymore. So all of that, I couldn't stay in high school. And I had learned the world already. Well, I knew I had to hustle and make money. And I felt like maybe my parents, maybe my mother's decisions is making my life unpleasant. I ain't want to be under her supervision anymore and having her making all the decisions for me. As I become a man, I start to make my own decisions. So I just chose to leave high school because I didn't want to do it anymore. I was tired of playing sports, tired of being, it felt like slavery. Carrying all those books on your back, period after period, and I had to walk home from school, all these books, and I had to play football and basketball and ran track after school. So I mean, by the time I was going to the 11th grade, I just decided I didn't want to do it anymore. So I went and got my GED, went into the world, and tried to make it on my own with my girlfriend that I was with. So, well, my decision, I stopped learning the European colonialized version of the history books, and I began to search for the truth of my ancestors. I started seeing it in the encyclopedia, and it was limited on what the Britannica knew about those things. So, but year after year, since I would say I turned 17 years old, I've been on my own doing this pre-Columbian era research, which always took me back into India and then took me back into Egypt. That's where I kept going back to. You keep looking in the encyclopedia, it shows you everything in Egypt that the British mandate owned or knew something about and publicated and wrote something in the dictionary, wrote something in the encyclopedia. So I spend most of my time each day learning those things. And then it sends me into the Bible. Then it sends me into the Holy Quran sometimes. It's so here and there into the sacred books or the historical books with some religious text in each country. Then it makes you search for those things. So I wasn't being taught that in the Western Hemisphere in the United States. They didn't teach that curriculum which I chose to begin to learn on my own. So my own free will still desired to learn, but it didn't want to be learning brainwash. It didn't want to learn the white man's falsified history books. It started digging for the truth, and that's what it is. Now I have compiled all of my information for other people who are like me, because I wasn't alone. And wanting to know the truth about your own self and your history and your heritage and what the truth was, because we knew all of those educated guesses in science and the white man's science in those books they were unorthodox. They were not right teaching. So when I found out this, I began to compile what we are calling now the Niggerspedia Nigrantica for the niggers. Who are the pre-Columbian era of America, and it's taking me back to the Olmec centers, and they are in the Pacific side of Mexico, that narrow strip of land. Okay, we're gonna stay tuned to the Niggerspedia Nigrantica, pre-Columbian era of America. Okay.